and the investment statement that we sent out. This is pretty pathetic. I have to write my initials on mine, so I keep the one with all the. Here's some. Oh, the top one's something different. The second one isn't something different. So we did get in, well, we talked last time, we knew how much money was gonna come in. And we did get in about $2.8 million on about 1027. And we'll talk about how that's gonna be invested and everything. But when you look at the history, and I guess, I don't know, accountants are good at going back and looking at what's happened before, but when you look at what's happened before, typically we get in about 98% of the money by the end of November, December at the latest, and then about 2% comes in at the very end. So if we believe that's gonna happen, and I don't have any reason why it wouldn't, it means that we should be getting in another about 1.3 million, 1,244,000 or something like that. Yeah, have they talked at all about when it's gonna come or anything?
I received an email this week from them, and it will be a little bit less than that because they're gonna deduct the initial tax associatory for 84,000.
Okay,
But you're in the ballpark, yes, sure.
okay, so I
don't have a firm date or.
but it probably will be, it could be before the next meeting, right?
I would expect it to be, because he learned this week or very recently that 98% of the tax levy's been collected.
Okay. So everything I said was true, actually, because I just made it up based on history. But, so do we want to just decide? I mean, last time on page 2, at the bottom, we kind of put the investments out to September of 23. Do we want to get authorization from the board so the money's not sitting around to take like 300,000 in each of the subsequent months or something like that?
If you want to do that, yes.
Okay, with that, any,
I think that makes sense. So we have the ballpark number that we're gonna receive. We already know what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, so then we might as well vote, so we don't have to wait till next month's meeting
Yeah.
to vote on allowing that to be invested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we recommending to add to?
I mean, I just said 300,000 in October, November, December, and January. It sounds like it's gonna be a little short of 1.2 million if they take the 80.
It'll be like 1065 or so.
1065?
is the number in my head. I just don't have my email in front of me.
Well, maybe we'll just say
Something in the
300,000 till we run out of money or something. And you think that much every month is probably a good number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our expenses run in the 250 to 300 a month
Yeah,
with everything.
yeah.
So that's why I like the timing of getting 300 a month released. If for any reason we're underspending and a surplus starts to build up, we can
We can
cancel
always, yeah.
cancel a CD, not cancel, but defer the
right,
release of it.
right.
Is what I mean.
Or roll it out
Yeah,
somewhere or
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
So it looks like, so I see that we have these CDs from the previous year
Yes.
that are coming up, and we've got some we got 200,000 each month, or well, no, I guess it's not each month.
Yeah, there's
overlapping.
600
They
in
do
November,
overlap.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we held back some money from
Yeah.
the last.
But that overlaps a little with when the new ones are
A little bit,
maturing
yeah.
in
I
February.
intentionally picked those dates,
All right.
the new ones, because we had funding coming
Yeah,
through.
okay,
for
okay,
June,
I see.
July, August.
Then we have nothing for March. It goes February and then
Because
April.
there's a
May,
late February and an early
That works.
March.
Okay, I'm just making sure I understand. All right, so we were just, these ones, we'd start up with maturities starting in October and then do 300,000
Yeah.
until we run out. Yeah, all right, that makes sense to me. I don't know, does it make sense to everybody else?
And I guess normally it probably wouldn't matter. And so if we look at the second page, so here's something else that I think we should think about. And yeah, so, you know, when you look at the maturity of the old CDs, they were in the 0.4% range to 0.75. And the new CDs that we talked about last month are going to be in the range of 3.2 to 3.9%. And the money did get transferred to Capcom LPL. It's sitting up in the 2.1 million under a money market because they hadn't rolled them into CDs yet. And I'm gonna say, and I don't say it very
They
often.
had as of October 31st, they had, the cash went in on
Right.
October 31st, the CDs were
Right.
bought on November 1st.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
sitting there
It's
as
just a
that.
month
So,
crossover.
yeah, so the 2.105 is gonna get invested as down below. So what was I gonna say about, so this was an interesting thing, and, you know, the policy said the treasurer should give a report of the investments. And I guess what struck me was, well, CD rates have gone up considerably from a year ago. But I guess I also was struck by the fact that the NBT money that we have sitting, the 600,000, 437, 419, which is almost 1.5 million, we're getting a composite rate of 0.15% on that, when you figure that 600,000 is zero. Now, we had thought at one point that the $600,000 was a compensating balance. I think that's what we were thinking, right, Tim?
That's what I've inherited, yes.
Okay. And I did find out today that it's not. The NBT doesn't really require any balances. So I guess in my mind, I sit here and I say, unless there's some other reason that Tim or Tim know about, there's $1.5 million sitting there. Why don't we put it in CDs and get closer to 4 rather than 0.15? And
I just would say that, I don't know what they told at NBT, but I believe that the policy at NBT changed sometime within the last 3 or 4 years, and that it used to be required in order to avoid about $2,500 in annual fees.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know, but the fact is, on a 1.5 million, we'd make $60,000 a year. So even if we incur to that. So
That's just to have a balance. It can be in the form of a CD. You know what I mean? We're not withdrawing the $600,000.
Yeah,
We're investing it with that. We can buy a CD with them.
you could, if they can do as well, but I think, you know, Capcom does a good job as well, so I don't know where I would want it, but he said there was absolutely no relation, a guy named, another Jim.
Jim Basora.
Who?
Basora?
No,
Okay, he's the Capcom.
yeah, no, NBT, government banking.
Okay.
And, you know, I talked a little bit with Jim, at LPL, and he said, you know, people, you know, you don't really know how long to go because the rates might go up, they might go down. It's hard to say. You know, right now, I think going out maybe 6 months, you could probably get 4%. I thought I maybe heard that if you went longer, you could get 4.4%. But I don't know if we'd want to try something, you know, layering them out a little bit and doing 500,000 at 3 months and 500,000 at 6 and 9, or 6, 12, and 18 months, just so that we have a little flexibility. But it's, I mean, it's huge interest that we're kind of missing because they're just sitting there. And I'd rather have the 60,000 in our pocket than NBT's because I think they're doing well enough.
So, I mean, you know, I know that we've got the, you know, the CDs set up, so that's supposed to roughly cover our monthly expenses. Do we, I mean, is there a, a certain amount of cash reserves beyond that we should just have on hand, just in case of emergency that we need, this above,
I think we have that already.
I-
Yeah, it's in, you have to see it in your operating account. I held back even some of the levy to cover for the next few months too.
So you're talking, we got the operating account up here, the
Yeah.
800, right? And so
Yeah.
you're saying that's more than sufficient just in that,
Oh, yeah,
without including any of this other 1 point,
correct.
whatever, 4 something million
Correct.
down there. So that's just pure excess that.
Yeah, these have been standing accounts with little just interest activity every month.
Okay,
There's might be some restricted element to them I have to learn more about, but, they've always been used as collateral for grants. We always have to have something to show that we could pay for something before a grant will help us pay for something. So they've always been held there for that reason as well, is my understanding.
yeah, but for that purpose, I mean, if they're in CDs, that's just as good, right?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, so then, it seems to me that we shouldn't just be foregoing, these, whatever the 3.5% interest or whatever we can get on that for,
Yeah.
for no good reason.
Do you have any thoughts on this?
Historical return to the school district, that's it.
Well, that, yeah,
So that's.
well,
What
yeah,
was it?
he's referring to if we have to refund the school for any of the bond,
Yeah, but
we
I,
have to be ready for that, so.
I think
we don't
that
need to
that's like
jump on
300,000. I think even if we did that, I think we'd still have positive cash flow.
Sure.
Agree.
We were-
But we
And-
want to be sure of that, we'll write up. a
Well, and
schedule.
that's why I'm not, I mean,
near the beginning?
I wouldn't say we should put it all in the 5-year CDs and, I think we should, try it out a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I was thinking 6, 12, 18 months, split it up so that it comes due and then you could, renew it. But I don't think we're gonna need this money in the foreseeable future.
And is it your guidance to do it through LPL, have them sweep this money?
I would give,
Or-
if NBT can come up with comparable rates, I guess it would be,
It may be best to do it LPL, because what LPL does is it goes out to multiple banks
Yeah.
for the FDIC protection.
What's the FDIC cap? What's
I think
the?
it's
so it's
50.
250. But if you look at the LPL statements, they actually take, and I talked to him, and they invest it like, they get the best rates in the nation, and they invest, I think, 200,000 in each bank, basically, so it's covered under FDIC.
Yeah.
And in terms of NBT, I mean, we do have balances in excess of the FDIC, but you get some statements of collateral or something like that, weekly, monthly.
Yes, I think that there's a-
Right. So he sent me something that explained the collateralization process. So NBT, at least, were covered in excess because they pledge certain treasury and things like that in order to do it. Because after I read the policy last week or last month, the investment policy, I actually looked up the municipal law, chapter 10 and 11, and it requires that basically. So I think, I was impressed with LPL, I guess, the fact that they can just layer it all off and everything like that. I thought the statements were good and everything. I think I would split it up into 3 different maturities and, I don't know, just to be a little cautious and everything, and maybe, I don't think any of us know what CDs are gonna do over the next couple of years, but I think eventually they might go up a little bit and eventually they're gonna go
Is there a
down.
vast difference in rates right this moment between a 3-month and a 12-month? There wasn't a month ago.
There's not.
So
and-
that's why I'm trying to figure out what the value is in stretching them out longer if it.
Well, the
If
value
we go
would
back
be,
down and we do it for 3 months and then the rates go
Yeah.
back down, then we didn't
there
lock
is,
it in for a
you're
long
right,
time.
there
but
isn't much of
it's
a
kind of-
difference just because of that. I mean, in 3 months or 6 months or 9, I don't know, maybe we wanna say like, let's go out 5 years. I don't know.
I don't think it's appropriate.
Well,
With library funds to go out 5 years. A lot, I mean, you can always break a CD, agreed, but, you know.
I just don't know if in a year, if it's gonna be back down to 0.4, so. And I don't think
can't
we're
promise.
advocating doing that right now anyways, but, you know, it's like, it would at least provide a source of income, and I can't see us needing the money in the future, so.
So is there a motion?
Yeah, I think I mean, I think it makes sense. I agree. My question is, it looks like right now between, these funds here that we're talking about, this 1.4 million and change, plus we have the additional, tax levy money that's gonna be coming in. It seems like we're gonna have things, maturing in the future in excess of our monthly needs, and we're gonna have, more money coming in. The question is there a way that we can structure this, so that we're, I guess we can just revisit it on a monthly basis if we need to, but just because, if there's money that we can just be rolling back over into a new CD,
Right.
because we have, because we're gonna have extra money coming back in, so it's not just, coming back into our, general, operating account and.
Are we getting specific rates from NBT because of the amount of money that we have with them? So if we lower that below, say, $100,000, they're not gonna change our rates for things?
I mean,
We're
they're
getting into
like, they
specific
pay,
rates based on any balance.
Okay,
and they,
Rates are what they are.
0.02% on our.
yeah, I mean, 0.02% is pathetic, and I mean, this year, we started out the year, I think, for whatever reason, they didn't make investments until maybe February of this year, because when I looked at the bank balances back in December, January, and February, they were like $4 and $5 million just sitting in the NBT account that probably paid
Well,
.02.
that was the bond money for the project.
The what?
But I don't know how far back you went, but a lot of that was bond money for the project.
Well, this was like this
So
past
that's-
January.
Some of it was still.
Well, I don't
The
know.
tax levy came in late.
That's what we came
Okay,
in
the
with,
tax levy came in
a couple months later.
late too. It's, the bond money should have been put in a separate account. It would have made it cleaner. Because when you look back at history and the balances, it's muddy. So I wasn't sure what numbers you were looking at. But regardless,
Bond money came in, so, $6 million bond money.
Yeah, I guess, I think that, the 1.5, we should kind of keep separate, and then the other money, and then if you do have access,
we
you can
will,
access.
I believe, if someone can correct me, but I believe we will need a motion from the board to close these accounts, or at least move the money. But if you take it all and close the account, we definitely need a board resolution. We need maybe a finance resolution to take 90% of it and leave the accounts open. But I don't believe, I can just take 100% of it and close the account without board resolution.
Yeah, I think we would need a board resolution to invest it. I don't think the bylaws specify, but I think it would be a good idea to have a board resolution.
Well, I don't know. Who approves opening and closing accounts then, George? I thought it was.
Whoever typically the bylaws would say it, and they don't. I mean, I looked. Which is why I think I would default to having the board do that.
Am I misremembering
Well, the
that?
investment
Yeah.
policy doesn't address
It
the
does.
bank accounts
Yeah,
itself.
and it's just.
It addresses how we
right.
invest the money in safe, secure,
Yeah, I think it talks about maximizing the yield based on security and liquidity or something. I actually
Yeah,
read it.
I mean, I think it'd be, perfectly appropriate to just get a board resolution on that, to take these funds, which are these three accounts, in the ballpark of, 1.4, between 1.4 and 1.5 million, take those accounts, close those accounts, and invest that money with Capcom in CDs.
What do you want for duration?
Well, we've been discussing this. This is money that's above and beyond our
Yeah.
monthly operating costs, so it's just money this is kind of the rainy day fund. So it makes sense for this could be, slightly longer. I agree, I don't think we should be locking this money up for an extended period of time. But, if there's good rates, if we're going out, the better part of a year, I don't know. You were suggesting that there were rates up in the 4s if we went out.
I think he said they were pretty close to 4, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, at first I was thinking of 6 months, 12 months, and 18 months, because the 18-month would mature in May of 20, well, whatever. It wouldn't end up being long-term investments on our financial statements, because as of this June, it wouldn't be out more than a year. So I wouldn't want to go out more than 18 months.
I think 6, 12, and 18 sounds good for that money. If there's nobody spots anything that,
Yeah, and then that means the first chunk of it, roughly $500,000 will be coming up in 6 months' time, and we don't
And then
foresee, right as we see here today, we're not aware of any major expense that we're going to need that money for in the next 6 months, but we'll have the option at that point in time to, put that back in and reinvest it in, or if we, need to hold on to it because there are expenses coming up at that time that we're aware of, So I think that sounds reasonable to me. What everybody else think? All right.
So maybe when, I apologize, no, what was I gonna say? When I do the financial report, maybe instead of doing the investment one, we'll just wait for the report of the finance committee and then do everything under that.
Again, I just want to reiterate that if you want all of the funds moved, then the account would likely be dissolved or closed.
Yeah.
And I need that in a board resolution.
Okay.
We need that.
Okay.
That's great.
No, I was just gonna ask you if you wanted to get rid of the savings account of $5,600.
No, that's held for that other restricted stuff, that little bit of noise down below on the balance sheet, the little accounts there, we talked about the history donation and stuff like that, so that's what that represents. I don't want that closed, no, unless it's the 5430, I'm reading them off, but one of those two, no, 5430 is the other.
No, that's the one that you use.
Yeah.
Okay.
does the finance committee want to vote on it so it can go forward to the board as a motion from the finance committee?
I suppose.
Yeah, sure. So I guess we're gonna have 2 resolutions, and one is gonna be for the tax levy payment that we're expecting to get in the next month or so, to invest that. We're gonna invest that in, it's gonna be, we think something less than 1.2 million. So we're gonna authorize that tax levy payment to be invested with Capcom and CDs. And the idea is, I don't know how much we need. Last time when we did the resolution, we just authorized the total amount that was going to be invested. And I don't think the board voted on like the specific maturities. I think that was just within the. So I think we just have to do a resolution that the entire amount of the tax levy payment, the second tax levy payment that's expected, in the next month or so, that will be invested with Capcom and CDs. And then the second resolution is that these 3 accounts with NBT, the NBT money market, the NBT money market ICS, and the NBT bank cap reserve, these 3 accounts, they're totaling between $1.4 and $1.5 million. We're going to close those accounts, and that money is going to also be invested with Capcom. But we're looking for 6, 12. We'll divide it into 3 portions and invested 6, 12, and 18-month maturity. So those are our 2 resolutions. All right, everybody, the finance committee, everybody on board with that? All right, we'll bring that to the full board then. All right, anything else? We turn it over to the full board. All right, I guess the finance committee meeting is done.
All I would say is thank you all for your due diligence.
It's actually the whole world would be much worse than.
I think they work.
I always feel like you're trying to.
I can please find out, I did all these streets down the
That I don't know.
At least you're setting a dangerous precedent.
So far, I've got something every time.
I know, that's what we're saying.
Appreciated.
Don't show up with this dad.
Yeah, I think.
And what kind of chips do we have?
Cinnamon bread. Free. Mr.